I don't know how many of your listeners know Alex Collier, but that the aid to Alex Collier was a really painful lesson for me to learn. Look, you know what? Personally, I've tried to be friends with him since 1986, and it just didn't work because he's incapable of being honest. And, unfortunately, he conned me into believing that he wasn't capable of getting a job because he went out and lectured about aliens. And that is simply not the case. He cannot get a good job is because he has a criminal record. And, for people who are hearing this for the first time, I'm sorry if you find this difficult to believe or accept, but, I have struggled with this, and, I simply can no longer. That's one of the reasons I took it all down. Even the interviews, man, I was getting a tremendous amount of traffic. People fans of his wanting to, hear what he had to say. But because it was all based on a lie, and I know that for a fact. His name's not Alex Collier. He may have changed it, but he only did that after he got released from prison. And that's when he also started lecturing, which was a complete shock to me because, like I said, I'd known him since 1986. He never mentioned once to me that he'd had contact with anybody from off-world. And so when he suddenly came forward with this new name and all this weird stuff he was talking about, I was like, oh man, he's really lost it. I don't know what they did to him in prison, but man, that's it was. I never believed it from day one. But as a friend, when he contacted me recently, and he was basically playing up my sympathy about how he can't get a job and all these hardships. So I did try and help him out, and the campaign was actually quite successful. There's a lot of people out there who are fans of his. Really devoted. They want him to be president of the world and, come stay at his house and sure, I'll send you hundreds of dollars and all this stuff. And, if I'd known everything I know now, I never would have done this. I think that's the only reason I'm mentioning it. I just want people to know my intentions were good, but I believe there's an old saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. And unfortunately, I didn't have enough information, and I was suckered in. And there was a lot of people that donated money, and I was one of those. So was I, though, James.
Yeah. I don't feel bad about it, though. To me, anybody, I don't care who they are. Yeah. If they're downtrodden, they need some help, I don't mind helping them out as long as they're going forward.
Well, I didn't see any evidence of that, James. Yeah. That's the problem. That was what ultimately made me question, that and the fact that he'd sent me his resume, because I'd asked him, let me see what you're sending out there. And I looked at it and I did a little research and I said, hey, wait a minute, I've got issues with this, that, and the other thing. And he basically lied to me about all, including the fact that he was using an Irish accent when he first changed his name. I'm like, what are you doing? You don't have an Irish accent. Oh, he says that was it came off funny on the recording. I said, everybody else's voice was perfectly fine. You're the one using an Irish accent. And of course, later I found, other people were complaining about the same thing. So look, this isn't all about him, but, like I said, I appreciate what everybody did for him, but he created that situation for himself. He's not a victim. He did that to himself. Okay. And, and then to lie about the fact that you created this mess for yourself in order to get sympathy, that's really unacceptable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I have a hard time with that too, when somebody, plays upon your own compassion or empathetic abilities and you're trying to help somebody, but when they totally lie to you. I've had that happen here, all of us have, at the ranch, where I've taken people in and really some well-known people, I've taken them in because they told me their whole sob story and told me this, and then I find out that their whole story was incorrect, and there's a reason why they're being, jailed or hassled or whatever, and it wasn't the reason that they told me, and over and over again, and so I learned some real hard lessons in there that not to get suckered into the poor me stories, and to look a little deeper, but it's human nature. You want to believe people. You want to help people, and if you're a good soul, that's just what you do. And And
Yeah, but going forward, James, I'm not going to just take anybody's word for it, especially
no,
if they have a hard luck story.
yeah,
Even if they're a
exactly.
friend, even if they've been friends with me for 20 years or my entire life, if somebody comes up to me and says, I'm suffering and stuff, then let's talk about it. How did you get there? Where are you going to go? If we do something about it, what do you want to do about it? How are you going to fix the problem? I'm not just going to go, well, yeah, here's some money. No, I'm not going to give them a room and board for free or whatever. I can't. I've been lied to on multiple occasions. And, it's just, again, this is why that was another contributing factor personally, why I decided to retire, because, I just get tired of the lies, and nobody seems to have any real concrete evidence that we could say, hold up to the world and say, hey, this is a fact.
Mm-hmm. It just seems the whole earth is that way right now. I hate to say it, but
no, it's true.
But it's not just this community. You have to ask yourself, where did the integrity go? Where did the honesty go? If you made a mistake, then own it, and learn from it. Go forward. Admit it.
Right.
And but to continue on these paths of deception and using your, I would say a lot of times victims use their role to extort money and support, emotional support and whatever out of others. And maybe it's time that they step up to the plate and say, I created this, this whole thing, get their power back and learn how to avoid those situations.